Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. This is a very important video because today we will be discussing the Orientalist response to one of the key arguments for both Quran preservation and for the historical reliability of Sunni Hadith. This is about stylometry. Before we get started, if you have benefited from my work and you are interested in helping me continue my work, you can support me by donating to my GoFundMe page, which is linked in the pinned comment. Any donation, big or small, will be greatly appreciated. You can also help me by buying my books. My books are based on years of research and debates on the topics and are extremely comprehensive and in depth in regards to their scope. The sample chapters of the books are in the video description. The link to buy my books is in the pinned comment. Let's get back to the topic at hand. So, I made a video recently where I showed how stylometry supports and proves Quran preservation. And anyone familiar with my work, even a little bit, knows about the stylometry argument for historical reliability of Sunni Hadith. Stylometry shows that the Quran is from one author, and it also shows that Sahih Hadith in Sahih Bukhari are the words of one person as well. And it also shows that these are not the same people or same entities. This is key in the arguments for Quran preservation and for Hadith reliability, as many of you will already know. The primary Orientalist response to both of these arguments has been to bring up a stylometric study done on Saffatic inscriptions by Hythem Sidky, where stylometry shows incorrect results. The argument based on Hythem Sidky study uh, has been debunked by me in numerous cases. I've debunked this in my videos as well, and I debunked this in detail in my book, Sunni Hadith and Sirah Proofs of Historical Reliability. I will not get into my usual refutation here because there is no need for it. The reason I am making this video is that a new and massive problem with Sidky's study has been exposed by another Orientalist. I will explain this problem and I will link in the video description both the argument by this Orientalist, his name is Juan Cole, and Hythem Sidky's response to him as well. Now let's talk a little about Sidky's study. Hythem Sidky conducted a study on Saffatic inscriptions. These are very short inscriptions that are written in a very archaic and ancient form of Arabic, and these are written by numerous people. Sidky's study showed that these texts have one author, which is obviously incorrect since these texts were written by numerous people. The argument used by the Orientalists is that if stylometry is unreliable in this case, then it can be unreliable in other cases as well, and hence stylometry cannot be used to argue for either Quran preservation or Hadith reliability. Here is the problem with this argument, and this argument is directly taken from an Orientalist. The inscriptions which were analyzed by Hythem Sidky, these are very short and formulaic. Here's what this means. If some texts or some sayings are formulaic, that means they are very similar and they are nearly identical, they are very similar, they are in the similar linguistic style. Because these particular short texts are by their nature intrinsically very similar, stylometry will naturally show these to have one author because these texts are so similar, and stylometry works on the similarity and differences of different texts and words. Understand the problem here and the depth of Orientalist stupidity and desperation. Stylometry is a reliable and widely used method of authorship detection and discrimination. It works in numerous cases. It works by looking at similarities and differences of texts to determine authorship. A requirement for stylometry to work is that there should be long enough texts that an authorship style can be determined from the texts. if the Sephatic inscriptions are very formulaic and hence very similar, of course stylometry will show them to have one author. Because of their extreme similarity, stylometry cannot be used for authorship discrimination because it works on the basis of similarities in the words of one author and differences in the words of multiple authors. Stylometry, due to its intrinsic nature, can only work on long texts that are not formulaic. What Hythem Sidky did is apply stylometry in a case where it will not work, even in principle, and use that to claim that stylometry can never work. This is how stupid this argument is. This goes to show the utter dishonesty and desperation of Orientalists in response to arguments for Quran preservation and Hadith reliability. Now, for many of you, this video so far will have made it crystal clear that the Orientalist argument is garbage and how dishonest and desperate these Orientalists are. But if someone is still skeptical or thinks that I am biased, click the links in the video description. Read the argument I'm using here, and I've linked the reference from the Orientalist Juan Cole who's making this argument. I've also linked Hythem Sidky's response to this argument. Do yourself a favor and read that response. This is the Orientalist who came up with this argument against stylometry. He does not even attempt to refute the argument made by Juan Cole, the argument that I made in this video. That is how pathetic his position is. You don't have to take my word on any of this. The dishonesty of Orientalists is obvious from these references. And to be honest, it's quite self-evident and it's easily understandable. Now, here's something I would like to point out. I actually knew about and thought about the problem about formulaic statements a few months back when I was writing my book on Hadith reliability. But I did not have the access to the Sephatic inscriptions, so I could not make this argument myself. I was thinking about putting this in the book, but didn't because I did not have Sephatic inscriptions and I didn't want to have something in the book that was potentially risky. The reference from Juan Cole, who was making this argument, was actually recently found by a friend of mine who shared it with me. Since this is so closely related to my own research, I felt that I had to make a video on this. I go through the stylometry argument for Hadith reliability and numerous other arguments for historical reliability of Sunni Hadith in my book. This book is based on years of research and debate. Moreover, this is the only book in English language which actually focuses on positive arguments for Hadith reliability. Books of people like Mustafa Al-Azmi, while those books are great, they only refute the Orientalist contentions. My book specifically focuses on positive arguments that prove Hadiths are historically reliable. This is why it is unique. The sample chapter for the book is linked in the video description. You should really check it out. It will be sufficient to show you how great and thorough my book really is. If you have benefited from my work over the years, kindly do buy my books and donate to my GoFundMe page. Also, if you only interact with one portion of my work, such as only my refutations of Orientalist, please do check out my work on other topics as well, such as evolution and existence of God. Even if you don't agree with everything I say, I think you will generally find my arguments to be quite powerful, and at least they are honest and they are rational. You can't just dismiss them easily. All of my books are based on years of research and hard work, and you can easily see this by reading the sample chapters of all my books, which are free and are all linked in the video description. These are free. Please do read them. Lastly, any donation that you make to my GoFundMe page will be greatly appreciated. Even a small donation will make my life much easier and helps me deal with all of the problems I am facing that I recently mentioned in a YouTube post. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with the Muslims who are interested in these topics. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum.